So how long does it take to go from 30% down to 10% body fat? An absolute miracle question which most people want to know the answer to, and this video will capture it. If you're anywhere from like 27 to 32%, this video is probably for you. Any leaner, and probably this video is not for you unless you like fuck around with your dieting phase and just don't make that much progress. I'm going to give you a gold standard example and how fast you really could do it, and then a more realistic time frame as well, and then a reason why it may take longer, and probably that's going to be the most important part of the video, because let's be honest, you didn't wake up 30% body fat. You got here for a range of bad habits and limiting beliefs, and we need to fucking fix those if we're going to actually get you to 10%. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergey and I run the Gorilla Platoon, where we get results like this each and every week. And what we're going to be uncovering today is how we can take you from anywhere from 27 or 32 down to 10% body fat. Here's 3 examples that we've done of that and the results we got at the end. Now, I'll tell you the answer pretty quickly. The answer, realistically, from what I have seen, is 20 weeks. But you're going to need to drop 20 kilo in that time frame. So this was 20 weeks, this was 20 weeks, this was 16 weeks. This motherfucker, I mean, he looks like Chuck Norris, so obviously he did it faster. But this was 16 weeks. So why his was faster was, honestly, this guy had like the mindset of like a fucking philosopher. He just approached it, got after it, and his body just started to absolutely melt away week on week. Like, he just got after it, no fucking messing. So that was 16 weeks. This was the first Gorilla Platoon transformation, actually, and maybe still one of the best, actually. So yeah, 16 weeks if you absolutely rocket it down. A more average drop would be around about the space of 20 weeks. These all body fat's very similar position. Obviously this guy's got hair on, so it kind of makes it look a bit more deceiving. But that's roughly how long you can expect it to take. Why? Well, you're going to need to drop 20 kg. If you want to go from 30% down to 10% body fat, you're going to need to drop 20 kg. That's a fact. So it's going to take pretty much 20 weeks, because you're going to drop roughly a kilo a week. Now, how it actually works is, in the beginning, you'll probably drop 2 kilos a week for about the first 2 or maybe even 3 weeks. So you'll rocket a lot of the starting weight off. But then as you start to break down below 25 and head towards 20%, it becomes a lot more challenging to get it off. You have to be a lot more meticulous to get that body fat off. I've done a video with each of these results, so you can see how we actually got each individual one to the end outcome. But it's essentially, you're going to put yourself in a deficit, and a fairly great one. Like, if we were to just jump out, and I'll run some numbers through you right now. Let's say you're going to start 100 kg, 30% body fat, 70 kg lean mass. Your RMR straight away, it's pretty high, actually. Your RMR is at 1900. You're at the average level of activity 155 times the two together. You're sat at 2,900 calories. Now, because you are 30%, you can go quite aggressive. So you can go in a good like 770 calorie drop, sit around 150, and you've still got some room to play with that. Now, if you wanted to be a little bit more conservative, you could sit yourself into a 550 drop, and you should still see progress off the back of that. But it just depends how like quick you want to see this result. Like, in this analogy, when you're 30%, you can start lower on calories, and it's absolutely fine, because you've got a shit ton of stores on your body. So I personally would start you on this. If you came to me 100 kg and 30%, you start at 150 basically. Now, what you could do is rinse this out and then rebalance the calories after. But if it's hell for leather, you're not going to have time to fuck around and do that, to be honest. So you've got 2 options. Either start aggressive, and you're going to literally hold the feed in like that for the longest of time, and you're going to look to push activity. Or start a little bit conservative and just adjust every week if the scale weight is not dropping off. That would be my suggestion in how you would start this. So from here, let's discuss as to why it is hard to do. Because, yeah, cool, I've shown you 3 examples, nice, but that's like 3 human beings. Most people will struggle to get this result, especially in 16 weeks or even in 20, and it may take them longer. Now, this is why it may take you longer. It's because for the longest of time, you have done habits which have confirmed your identity. that have basically made you the way you are today. You are 30% right now because of your own fucking doing, right? You've eaten the wrong foods for long enough without moving enough to burn off those foods, and as a result, you've got a piss tank in your 30% body fat. So that's the first thing I would say. Now, it's not just a case of follow the diet and do the training, you'll lose the weight, because if it was that simple, no one would be 30% body fat. It's because it's fucking hard. In the very beginning stage, there will be a barrier to resistance, which will sit around here. So there's a resistance line that you need to cross in order to start to make this a lot easier. The problem is you don't have enough steam and spunk to get close to the line, because you'll start to do your effort, and by doing your effort, you're like, it's painful to continuously move in this direction because it's not who you are. You are someone that just eats chocolate and sits on the sofa. So for you to breach this line, it's so fucking painful because you're just not that person. So we must understand we have to fix this first. Like, I can give you the diet plan, you won't follow it, like, because it's just not who you are. It's like you saying to me, you can give me the violin in a fucking pre-recorded video on how to do it. I won't play the fucking violin. It's just not who I am. I don't care to play it. Even if you said, play the violin, you'll shag 10 out of 10 birds. I probably still wouldn't play the violin because it's just not who I am. It'd be so painful for me to start to learn to play the violin. And in this analogy, I'd just be too lazy to do so. So we must fix this. We must make it easier in order for you to breach the gap, to get over the threshold, to actually start living like this. So we must understand that if you are going to do this, we must fix what goes on in your brain first. And we do this by, there's two ways of approaching this. You've got your self-image, and your self-image is made up how you see yourself in the world. So you think you are a list of character traits, and that's what makes up you. You are clever at IT. Tick. That's what you do. You are not good at being in big group social circles. Don't like that. You find sports not enjoyable. Cross. You sleep loads. Tick. You can speak another language. Tick. The idea of the gym is painful. The idea of eating healthy is boring. And all of these like beliefs and whatnot, they make up how you then put yourself out into the world. And then how you act in the world is then going to give you feedback on how you see yourself. And there's the world. Fucked right now. How you act in the world will then give you feedback, which will then confirm how you see yourself, and then how you put yourself back out into the world again. So it's like this constant cycle. It's like, the way I describe it, and this will be a really good one for guys watching this, it's like you're in a dry patch right now, you've not had sex in a while, because you've not had sex in a while, you act in accordance with that, which then people can feel it, and then you get the feedback that you're not going to be like getting anything anytime soon, which then confirms how you then act. And it's this perpetual cycle. And this is why people stay in dry patches for so long. It always used to baffle me. Like in my younger days, I used to think, why does this happen? And then I understood. I was like, right, cool. And again, how did you break out of that? This is a funny example, but actually it's coming to my mind. It's a really good way of looking at it. The best way for a man to end a dry patch is to act like he is not in a dry patch. It's to act with sheer abundance, even though you have not had a DM in fucking over 2 weeks. That is the way you have to act. And when you act like that, you then breed abundance. And when you breed abundance, people come to people who have abundance, because they're like, well, why has he got abundance? So I'll go towards him. And in doing so, your dry patch will end. And when you're not in a dry patch, it's much easier to stay not in a dry patch. Just like in this analogy, if you weren't the guy that believed he was 30% body fat and acted with all of his habits in accordance with it, you wouldn't get the feedback from the world that you are someone that can't get in shape. You'd get the opposite. You would let's say you've been on this plan for 4 weeks, you've been posting like videos of you training on Instagram, like your progress and stuff. People would just see you as the guy that goes to the gym, and then they message you going, oh, fucking hell, I wish I could find the motivation to go to the gym. And that would confirm your identity, that you're someone that goes to the gym and is not better than them, but if anything, like inspires them to do the same thing. That's what this is. That's really how you fix this. You must, in many ways, and the saying is, I think you've heard this before, fake it. My writing is not going to be good on this. Till you make it. Fake it till you make it. And in many examples, this would not work. But in the analogy of getting fit, in the analogy of having abundance in your life, it works a fucking treat. Act like you are. So how do you act? How do you go from this to this? It's nice and simple. You act like you're already this guy. You don't act like you're this guy, because if you act like you're this guy, you are someone that is trying to get in shape. If you're trying to get in shape, you will find a reason as to why it couldn't happen. I guarantee you, because otherwise you would already have the mindset that it was done. This guy had the mindset of, yep, it's done. I'll be 10% body fat in X amount of time. It's just a matter of process of biology and input and output, and I'll be 10% body fat. Lo and behold, Chuck Norris was fucking 10% body fat 16 weeks later. So it's just a mindset approach. Like, people think getting in shape is this complicated metrics of science and shit, and I've given you videos on how to set up yourself, what to eat, how to train. Realistically, once you digest that, and you've said it enough times, that's the formula. Like, it's been out there for long enough. The reason why no one really can execute it, and the reason why coaching is so valuable, is because coaching is less about me telling you, right, you're going to take some food away this week. You can kind of predict that. Scale weight stayed flat for a week. You can kind of predict I'm going to go, right, we either need to get you to move more through output, or we're going to take from some food. Coaching's less about that. Coaching is more about me battling against your brain, because your brain will try and fuck this up, and I have to battle with your brain. I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. Listen to me now. This is why you're not doing this, and this is how we fix it. I had this exact chat with a client last Saturday. Great message, actually. It really reminded me of like why this shit is so important. He messages me and he's like, I'm sticking to the gym. I've been doing my cardio, but I keep fucking it up. I keep eating more and more and more. And he looked the best he'd ever looked. He dropped a shit ton of weight, but we're not quite there yet. With this, it'll be an absolute, again, a corker of a result. Probably a 35% body fat down to 10% by the time we're finished. But he's probably in around the space of like 16% or so now. So the best he's ever looked. Or close to it anyway. And at that point, you start to get comfortable, and your brain will tell you, well, we're kind of the best we've ever looked now, and I don't think we should bother, going a bit further, because your brain will try and sabotage your success because it likes to be comfortable. And in that instance, I'm battling with his brain being like, no, set your standards high. Do not fucking settle with where you are now. Get back to it. This is the reason you're doing this. This is the reason you're doing that. And I sent him a video like this, and we solved the issue, and boom, by the next check-in, he'd made the progress back up, and we were back on track. But coaching is more about battling with your brain, which will try and tell you why you shouldn't or don't deserve the thing, because your brain will always see you as this until you've disciplined it enough to make it see that you are this guy. When you see that you are this guy, you then get this like arrogant zest about you that you're a man of discipline, you are in good shape, and you can stay in good shape. You almost have to kill the version of you inside your brain that is here in order for you to look like this. So that is how you actually go from 30 to 10% body fat. Less about the input and output. That's important. Train like a fucking animal, eat correctly, and sleep like a bear, and you will get in great shape. But just always understand that. Think of the dry patch analogy. The reason you are in a dry patch is because you believe you're a person that deserves a dry patch. As soon as you think you're someone of abundance, I guarantee you within a few days' time, you are laying pipe. So you must understand and look at it in this way. Otherwise, you will perpetually be 30% body fat in a fucking dry patch. And I honestly couldn't think of anything more miserable or a more miserable way to spend my life. So hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully it gave you the answer that you were looking for. But realistically, cool, the answer's 20 weeks. Nice. But what I wanted you to take away from this is this part of the video. This is the most important part. again, we can give you the physique. Don't do this, you'll fuck it up, trust me. So, found it useful, great, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow.